Hello and welcome back to Twin Cities Territory, our Minnesota Twins podcast on the Foul Territory Network. I am Zack Pierce, the athletics editor of many random things. Dan Hayes is here as well, our athletics Minnesota Twins beat writer. And we're joined, of course, again by Tyler Duffey, longtime major leaguer and former Minnesota Twin. And guys, the Twins stay hot. 6 wins in 7 games after winning the final 2 in Toronto this weekend, bouncing back after a tough loss on Friday. 2 straight series wins. They improved to 9-7, and as we are taping this currently on Sunday night, Cleveland is down 9-1 to Atlanta on the new Sunday Night Baseball on NBC. Is that the debut of Sunday Night Baseball tonight?
I think it is.
I think so, and it means that everybody in the nation is hearing Jason Benetti's dulcet tones across the air.
Yes.
So,
if Cleveland loses that game, fun fact, the Twins, after 16 games, will be tied for the best record in the American League, and I think technically on tiebreakers would be number 1. A little too early, maybe to obsess over that. But anyway, a strong rebound, guys, from a tough game on Friday. They got up 4-0 on Friday, then watched Toronto just tee off on Simeon Woods-Richardson in the bullpen, got 10 runs, a 10-4 loss. But a strong couple of games in Toronto against the defending AL champs, obviously a injury-depleted AL champs, but still, I think overall an impressive couple of games, Tyler.
Yeah, it was big. Yeah, like you mentioned, go in that first day and kind of hit a little speed bump and then come out of it with 2 to finish in a place where it's a hostile environment, big crowd, big noise. A lot of guys probably first experiences, some of the younger guys in that stadium even, and even had a great debut guy came in and, put online, what do you throw, 70 or 80 pitches, something like that? I mean, that's, a hell of a way to close the door. And, it was a great series and a good gut check series again. I said that before Detroit. I think this was another one, and everybody seems to kind of be settling in, and that momentum's kind of building, and things are kind of starting to click, and that's when baseball starts to get fun.
yeah, to go from 4-0 up 4-0 Friday, and after the game we found out Simeon Woods-Richardson had food poisoning courtesy of Subway sandwiches, $5 foot long. To find out that he had food poisoning, to see it go the way it did after the game, you learn that Royce Lewis and Cody Lorison are going on the IL. Lewis with the grade 1 LCL strain, lateral, not even trying to remember what all those are, LCL strain, and then Lorison with the right forearm strain. That was a downer moment for a team that had come in with winning 4 in a row. And to come back, and then even on Saturday, Joe Ryan, who had some, he had not been his best so far this season. Joe Ryan's had he had that weird game in Kansas City where he got the start and basically was, unfortunately, it was that weather game. For him to come out and give up a 2-run homer on the second batter and then bounce back and throw 7, and, the offense really gave him some room to operate. And Joe Ryan then was on the field on camera with the microphone on Sunday during the big rally against Max Scherzer, which has got to be so much fun for players. Are like, I want to get in and out. I want a 2-minute interview. Joe Ryan got a 25-minute interview today because that inning kept going and going. And we got to get some real stats on that, because Corey Provis was mentioning it, what the player war is, because it seems like Twins players have been on camera for some absurd rallies so far, which I think they're going to keep signing up for if that's the case. But just a feel-good series after Friday, because when Ryan Jeffers hit the home run on Friday, my first thought is, will the Sex World marquee still be up when they do the World Series parade in October? Because I think that the Sex World marquee would be so great in those pictures just off Washington. It's out of business now. It's gone. They're selling off stuff at auction. It's anyways, you think about where they were Friday night early on, and it was great. They're up 4-0. And that was a very rough loss. We just saw them, Woods Richardson had been really good this season to give up 5 in that one inning, and then the bullpen gave up 5 more. And it's here they go again. But that was a really good series victory for the Twins to come out of it. And, the offense has been just amazing so far, which is shocking to say that when we know where they were last Saturday, Sunday.
At some point, you have to stop calling it early in the season, but 10% of the way through maybe is not there yet. But still, just remarkably packed American League standings off the top. I'll just show this graphic to those watching on YouTube right now. But the AL standings top to bottom, Cleveland currently first place, 9-6, but as I mentioned, losing handily in Atlanta right now in the bottom of the eighth. If they lose that, we're going to have what did I count up? 11 teams between 9-7 and 7-9 in the AL, and then 2 more at 6-9 and 2 and 6-10. It is a let's just say too early to call the race in the AL for sure.
Scoreboard watching, baby.
Scoreboard watching.
Man,
I'm finding this is obviously my second go around hosting a baseball podcast. Puckett will do it live, RIP. But it's hard not to overreact when you talk about baseball every couple of days. But still, Tyler, we mentioned this a little bit on Friday's show, I believe. But again, a team that spent so much time hearing how they weren't going to contend, to come out and injuries aside, a tough place to play in Toronto and a fan base that's ready to cheer for another winner. And to come back and win those 2 games has got to be yet another big boost after last week.
Yeah, it's huge. And like we were kind of talking about it seems like it's a little bit of everyone doing something right now, especially on the position player side. There's no one guy who's, going 5 for 5 every game. It's, a homer here. Gray comes to mind. I think he hit 2 homers this weekend, or 1. Jeffers hitting his. It's spread kind of evenly throughout the order. Nobody's carrying the freight, so to speak. And that's what it's going to have to be. And then as the season progresses, like I keep saying, there's going to be guys that really settle in and be who they are. Byron's going to be him. Whoever falls into the lineup around him will be there. But it's momentum at this point. It's getting into the regular schedule. Playing the night games, the Thursday or Sunday day game. What's coming down the tracks, and it's just go play ball. And right now it looks like there's a pretty good formula in place. And head home to play Boston, and it's going to be it's home, right? Home games.
Back home.
Yeah, it's a 6-game homestand against.
Yeah, back home against Boston, which will be a good series. They always draw fans, so hopefully that'll bring some people out of the house and get them to Target Field, and keep that momentum rolling. It's fun when you start playing well and everyone kind of gets in a groove. You look up and a couple months go by and you're in first place.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dan.
I was going to say that offense is 6th in runs, which is crazy. Atlanta moved ahead of them tonight with or on Sunday night with the 9-run outburst against Cleveland. But I don't think there was any world that anybody saw the Twins being, even at one point, top 5 or 6 in offense. You mentioned it. It's coming from everywhere. Tristan Gray today, the 3-run homer. Sunday with the 3-run homer. Trevor Larnach with a 3-run homer on Saturday. Brooks Lee hit a pair of home runs. Just followed up his big hit Thursday with a great weekend in Toronto. He had the 2-run double on Sunday. He had a couple home runs. Everywhere you look, it's been just somebody new stepping up. This is going to have to be a team that relies on the collective. That's just how they're going to have to be. The thing is, the collective is talented. Really, when you look at it, Brooks Lee was a first rounder. Royce Lewis was a first rounder. Trevor Larnach was a first rounder. Ryan Jeffers was a second rounder. Matt Wallner was a first rounder. Josh Bell, I think, was a first rounder.
He was,
look,
first or second, yeah.
Yeah. Everywhere you look, you have dudes that were drafted. There's a lot of unrealized talent on this roster. We've talked about this all year. It has to be realized. They're hoping that that's something that they can unlock this year. It's a good start. 16 games. It's 10%. Lulls will come. The fact that Brooks Lee came back after I think he was 6 for 31 after the hit on Thursday. And he had 4 or 5 hits this weekend. That's a great weekend to follow up on and just get some more good vibes. He needed that desperately. And when you have him doing that in the 8th or 9th spot, and you look around, and Tristan Gray, I mean, it just, for the guy that made the last spot in the roster, to have as many big moments as he's had. It's actually reminiscent of what Cody Clemens did last year with the Twins after they claimed him off waivers. It's a good feel story kind of, and the guys love those guys coming through in the way they do, and he's gonna have something to talk about for the rest of his life, hitting a 3-run tank off of Max Scherzer.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Cody Clemens also a home run this weekend. Trevor Larnach, you may have mentioned this, Dan. I don't usually listen when you talk, so
I wouldn't either.
But had the big home run on Saturday off a lefty, no less. So it did feel like contributions came from absolutely everywhere this weekend. It wasn't all good. There was some not so good news. So we are back. We mentioned before the break, not all good news this weekend. On Thursday against the Tigers, I believe, is when Royce Lewis sustained the injury.
Yeah.
So he did not play this weekend in Toronto. Turns out a knee sprain, grade 1, which is the good grade, Dan? The better?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm always confused about that.
I know. It's like when MRIs are negative, you're like, oh, it's the word. Oh, no. That's actually great. And grade 1 is the best one. So the Twins are feeling good about that part. We'll see what Royce Lewis has an extensive injury history, and I think the stat is that it's 66% of all games that he's been eligible for, he has missed over the course of his career. So the comment section, of course, would be pretty negative and like, hey, this is what his par for the course, basically. I think part of it was being on the turf for 3 days. You fly, and you guys know when you fly, if you're like, you don't feel great afterwards immediately.
Mm-hmm.
That's not dealing with a knee injury, that kind of thing. He woke up feeling sore on Friday because we saw Royce Lewis leg out the infield single after the injury and then go first to third on Brooks Lee's game-winning hit on Thursday. So clearly in the moment, the adrenaline carried him through it, but he woke up feeling sore on Friday. They sent him to an MRI. It is a blow because this is a guy that his OPS plus right now is 139. The baseline for that, if you're average major leaguer, it's 100. If you're a Hall of Famer, you're like 130. This season, because the walks, the power's been there. We've seen, 2 doubles, 2 homers, but 8 walks, which is Royce Lewis's, his walk rate is triple what it was last year. It's 2.5 times for his career. We're seeing a different guy in the 8th spot. It's helped the team out, immensely back there. So this is a blow for sure. And we'll see how long it is. I'm guessing, Royce Lewis told the reporters there in Toronto that he expects to be back at the 10 days. I'd be shocked if it was 10 days. And that's not doubting Royce. It's just thinking about the caution that teams put into things. So it wouldn't shock me if it was a 2-week injury, something around that line. Maybe he's back on the field in 10 days. He did say on Saturday he felt much better than he did on Friday. But, I mean, it's certainly something where now you have a couple guys who are more glove first guys filling in for him. Kreidler, his career batting stats aren't great. Tristan Gray has been awesome, but he's never really, his resume is not long. So it's certainly something to keep an eye on. But right now they were able to ride the momentum. And like you guys, the hits coming from everywhere, they've been able to mask it so far. But this is a big bat that they absolutely need back in the lineup.
Yeah. I think, too, like to your point, too, he's had so much done in the past. That's when it could have just been a little something, just wasn't happy with that swing, playing in the cold weather, things like that, and like shaking some rust off, so to speak. So hopefully to that point it is, it's the mildest of mild, and it's just, hey, let's go run some sprints, inside, get back home, especially get into, the home facility and do all your stuff there. It's, that'll be a quick turnaround, hopefully. But yeah, it's one, that's where it's the next man up mentality has to happen. And you'd rather figure out who you got now than when you really need it down the stretch, and get these guys the at bats that maybe they wouldn't get otherwise. That stuff plays out down the road huge.
Tyler, fans tend to get very frustrated with players with repeated injury risks. I'm
no
curious.
way.
Yeah, I know, and like some of it is just like it's a bummer and it's frustrating. Some of it is people are being jerks about it, but like in the clubhouse, how do you like keep those guys' spirits up. Obviously, they're not dogging it, they're not faking it, and
Right.
and like how do you kind of just sort of like stay the course when key players like that are having trouble staying on the field?
Yeah, it's tough. It's definitely it's good to keep guys around. I'm not going to name names because then it's going to be like it just brings up old things. But it is if there's a veteran who's got a presence who needs to be around, like they're there every day no matter what. Sometimes you feel bad for like there's a younger guy who gets hurt, and say it's like a more season-ish ending, they like get banished to Fort Myers, and it's just like they die basically, and it's like, man, like how's he doing? You check in, and it's like guys come out of there a new player. Sometimes you just like it wears on you. So it's definitely it goes both ways. Like those guys become valuable because they're on the bench, during the games or in between games. They can go, fire through stats or game planning stuff. They become almost another coach at times, and it's however you want to attack it. Most guys want to be a part of the team, and that's why they're there is to play. And when they can't, like, yeah, you're depressed. It sucks. But at the same time, it opens a door for an opportunity to like do deep dives into things you wouldn't do otherwise. A guy like Royce, like he's probably working on something in the meantime. He can probably, if he was feeling something in his swing, well, now he's got a free 10 days to like kind of groove a pattern, maybe something he needed to or wanted to work on or something he saw in video. And so it presents itself as an opportunity. I think that's the way most guys have to approach it. Is it's a little bit of a reset at the middle of the season, and unfortunately, to Dan's point, he has great numbers so far. He's doing a great job in it where he's been in the order. So hopefully he can come out of that and just hit the ground running and provide that little spark whenever he comes off.
But at least, like Zach, as you were saying, Twins fans have a level head about this. We don't mention bilateral leg weakness 20 years later ever.
Nope.
And there's no comparisons to Byron Buxton's early career. Nothing. Like you don't hear a peep. So that's pretty good.
All good.
Never.
All good.
I didn't say any names for the record.
I put you on the spot a little bit there, but you did it. You did a nice job. Sunday's game was sort of highlighted by the Twins, I think, just teeing off on Max Scherzer early, getting that big lead and kind of coasting to the victory. But the other highlight for sure for the Twins, Taj Bradley, another great game, showing ace stuff early on. 3-0 now, a 1.25 ERA now.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
5 innings pitched, 5 hits. Maybe wasn't his sharpest game today. 7 strikeouts.
Yeah,
4 walks.
It's a busy stat
4
line.
walks in there.
Yep.
Yeah.
But nice to be staked to an 8-run lead after 2.5 innings. And Tyler, what'd you see from Taj today?
It was, I said before we started, it was the gutsy performance, as they say. Is the team put up a bunch of runs. You were going to win the game, but for him, it became, I have to get through 5 innings somehow. I'd look up here because I think I flipped to it at once, and he was at like 75 pitches in the third, or maybe top of the fourth. And I was like, this is one of those days where you get done after 5 and you feel like you threw 12 innings. He's going to be sore tomorrow, all that good stuff. But at the same time, that's if you want to make your 32 starts or whatever it is, the saying that I heard coming up was you're going to have 10 good ones. You're going to have 10 not good ones, and then there's those 10 in the middle. And today was that one in the middle ground where it's yours to take if you want it bad enough. And he gutted out those 5 and got it to the bullpen, and they finished the game off. And that was one. It's been relatively smooth sailing. I won't say it's been easy. You're pitching to big leaguers facing good teams, but today he earned every bit of that win.
Yeah, Tyler, you were mentioning that that website you saw, the pitcher lit stats, and his stuff was graded at C+, and whereas his locations were F, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You could see it. Like, it's just one of those Twitter websites that evaluates, and like you could see how much he was fighting that game. And those last 2 strikeouts, I mean, like the guy, I would have been not surprised if he did a cartwheel coming off the, like you're at 106 pitches, this is your last batter, and that Taylor Rogers is coming in to get your win.
To get one guy.
And you get the win, And like in arbitration, that's going to mean a huge deal. But like for him,
that's
to come
big money
through,
for him.
yeah, it is. And to get those 2 outs and get the 5 innings and qualify for the victory, he absolutely earned every bit of that victory just because he was fighting it so hard. And like this is again what we've talked about, and you can just tell when he stayed back from the WBC, he was supposed to pitch for Team Mexico. He said, "I want to work on things. I want to be in this clubhouse. I just want to be here and prepare for the season." And that was it. He did, he could have gone to pitch for WBC and gotten a really cool experience, but he stayed back, and you respect that. And then you see what he's done these 2 months since that point. It's been really impressive just because like the guy clearly cares and knows that, like he said in the past, he's been stubborn. He's trying to get over being stubborn. He's trying to learn and move on. A day like today just illustrates how you can do that and just figure out how to survive. Because by the way, when his stuff is C plus, when his locations are F, he still has amazing stuff. Like this is a guy that's uber talented, and like he's in a key position. He recognizes it, and right now the Twins are 4-0 when he starts. That's a nice place to be.
Yeah.
Tyler, do you have any hot takes on like the how we determine who gets the win in a game?
I mean, there's well,
do we need a whole episode for this?
Though, when we have those like bullpen days, and then like everyone kind of chip away their pieces, and like the random guy would get the win sometimes, and it's like who do we call to fix that one? Like there is some. I would love to know the process for that, but yeah, this was not a 5 and dive. I'll put it that way. That used to be frowned upon to go 5 and all right, see you guys in 4 days or whatever. But this was one like the bullpen was out there. The bullpen was up in the second probably because they're like, all right, here comes the pitches, and fast forward, he gets through 5. Like they're great, and you could see, watching the game today, you could tell, like to Dan's point, there was that like sigh of relief, almost like he knew he got to that last out and was like, I got there. Like he could feel it.
Yeah.
It was like, thank God, now I'm going to go home and, try and rest up. But yeah, like you said, he earned every bit of that one. And, that's one down the stretch, to come September, that'll be a game we can point to where like, hey, like that's where, this process for him developed, that grinding out an inning or an at bat or whatever it may be. That's just part of the learning curve, man. He's settling in to become a pretty important guy.
Well, then after Taj came out after the 5th, another fun moment in the game, the replacement pitcher was Andrew Morris making his major league debut, and his parents were in this. This is always just a great thing. It happens, dozens of times a year across the league, but mom and dad were in the stands. That's mom, if you're watching on YouTube, there on the right side of the screen, pumping her. It's a video. I don't think I can show the video, so I didn't mess around with it. But she, at one point during the video, she mouths, "That's my boy," as he's coming out to the mound, which was just super cool. And he acquitted himself very well. The Twins asked 3 innings out of him. Got the hold, 6 hits, just 1 run allowed, 2 strikeouts. Was very pumped up after his first major league strikeout. Just always a cool thing to see, and in a bullpen where there are questions abound, there's probably going to be more scenes like that this year. But Tyler, like I'm sure you remember your moment stepping out for the first time, and I think that resonated with you a little bit. Oh, really?
Wow. Yeah. Mine went a little bit differently. It was a grand slam and a 2-run homer, and 2 innings later, and I was out of there. So I got called up to face the 2015 Blue Jays murderers row. And,
wow!
Bautista clipped me I threw him a 3-1 changeup, hit it for a grand slam, and then Donaldson got me the next inning. And then,
man,
of course, so I get done, and like it's Molly, Tori, like Joe. It's like a Sunday day game, I think it was a Sunday. And so everybody, all the vets are in the dugout, and I get done. They're like, yeah, we had all your pitches from the dugout. And they're telling me after, I'm like, why didn't you say something while I was out there? Like, kind of thing. But it was one that, it was an unforgettable experience. And watching a guy do it there, it's such a cool place. Like, I know, Dan, you've been, I don't know, Zach, if you've been to Toronto for a game. It's just such a cool environment, like, great stadium and, things like that. And, to go out there and get the hold your first chance, get the good punch out, all the thing, and your parents are there, it's just, it's something that none of them will ever forget. And obviously a great TV moment there with mom, that's my boy as he's running out on the field. That's pretty sweet.
That place, I would say, generates the noise of Dodger Stadium, of Yankee Stadium, of Fenway, of Wrigley. Really, there's like 5 or 6 places that get that loud, and
Right.
Toronto is one of those ones that gets deafening. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
can hear it when their crowd gets going. If a little rally starts, it's like they go from, you know, a 1 volume to a 7 instantly with a base hit, and
Yeah.
they can turn a game around real fast. There aren't a lot of places in baseball that are like that. Like, Dodger
Mm-hmm.
Stadium is a learning experience. You go there, and those speakers in center field are
Yeah.
booming, and it's just, yeah. And I remember, like, I've talked to so many. I covered the Padres for the first part of my career, and I would talk to relievers. Luke Gregerson was just on a total tear going into Dodger Stadium. And I was like, "So are you ready for this place?" He's like, "Whatever." And then he got just destroyed in his first game. I'm like,
Mm.
"Yep, that's Dodger Stadium." And Colorado
Told
can
you.
be that in a different way, but like, there's just a few parks that just are so different. It's a great atmosphere. When we were there in August, they were in full Toronto glory at the time. And like, Jays fans are going to be out early, especially. I know they're beat up, and this is a great time for the Twins to catch.
Yeah.
This team. There's like 3 or 4 starters on the IL. They lost Kirk the other day with a fractured
Mm-hmm.
finger, I think. They lost
Springer, I think.
Springer with a fractured toe. Like, that's a beat up team right now. But the fans are still there, and the support's there, and you know that was a cool moment for Andrew Morris. The shocking fact, and I did not know this myself until I heard the broadcast, but he apparently graduated high school when he was 16 years old. So this is something I will have to follow up on. I had no idea that is way too young. I was 21 when I graduated high school. It was it's a very nice short ceremony. I was the only one, but like, the fact that this guy is like out there, and I agree with you guys. The family moments are really cool like that. And this is a guy that was, I think Aaron Gleeman had him as the number 11 Twins prospect. It's a guy that can have a shot and give length in this bullpen, but who knows? Maybe they'll ask him to do some shorter stuff later. With the rookies, with the guys with the fresh arms, they're going to ask a lot of them, especially early on. Um, but definitely a good place to come up and get that one out of the way, and in a nice win.
Mm-hmm.
It is a final in Atlanta, 13-1. The Braves have beat
Boom.
Cleveland, so the Twins are, again, I believe, officially leading the American League. Don't celebrate, don't celebrate just yet. Long season, et cetera, et cetera.
Stop the count. Stop the count.
However, the hope-o-meter might have just ticked up a couple more percentage points. The Twins now come home, Boston, and that's a
Cincinnati
little,
Reds.
little too long for that graphic there on the YouTube. But that's all right. Boston, the Reds. The Red Sox had horrible start, have been better lately, I think. It looks
Yeah.
like.
Took 2 of 3 in St. Louis over the weekend.
Yep. Cincinnati pretty strong too. So a couple of good teams. The temperatures will not be an excuse for the fans this week, at least not until the weekend. We have 70s and 60s all weeks, maybe some rain, but should be interesting to see because, as you mentioned, Tyler, Boston, always a good draw here anywhere,
Right.
But here as well. Tyler, as they come home with this momentum in their favor, when things are going, obviously it's a long season. There's going to be some down periods. Yeah. It's going to happen. But when things are up, how do you keep it going? How do you try to keep it going in the clubhouse?
I think it just allows you to be free. You're not as worried about whatever may be happening around you. And what it is too, when we're talking about everyone's kind of contributing a little bit, that spreads out that worry. It's like, all right, somebody else has got me, even if I don't get it done. And that's the team aspect of the game. It's weirdly, I've said this before to people. it's a very individual game because it's you doing everything yourself, but it all accumulates into the team effort, and the goal. And so to that point, it's like, all right, I didn't get it done this time, but Clemens got it done today, or Gray did, or Lewis, or Buck, or Keishel. Now it's everybody's kind of chipping away here and there, and you build on that, and it's a trust that ends up happening. It's not a what if, it's just who, and so it makes it great. It's where that camaraderie really starts to build, and there's this team, there's a lot of new faces, a lot of young guys trying to settle into who they're going to be and things like that. And that's when it really starts to happen. It gels, and, guys start to have some fun and, get into some more fun away from the field. It's that family dynamic starts, and, it's like, I keep coming back to it. It's, you start playing baseball, you start winning a lot of games, and you look up and the season's over already, and you're like, man, like, we could keep going. So they're in a good spot right now. I know the vibes are good. I know Shelty's got the boys riled up. He'll be in there checking everybody's temp tomorrow before they start tomorrow night's game. And we got a tough couple days. I think Crochet and Sonny Gray, I think, are the first two. I don't know the third, but be some more good baseball.
Another left-hander. They are just facing every possible left-hander. By the way, let's just give Trevor Larnach his flowers, because look,
lefty.
Everybody in the Twin Cities wondered, me included, and it wasn't anything against Trevor Larnach. He has had a career, like his OPS plus for his career is like 101, 102. So he's basically been a league average hitter his entire career. So it's not like we're talking about a guy that just disappeared at the plate. But they gave him $4.75 million in arbitration in November, and every single person in the Twin Cities wondered why they brought him back, because they have this glut of left-handed outfield hitting guys. He's made it, he's been very good early on. He's been a consistent at bat. He has an 856 OPS, 7 walks, 5 strikeouts. That home run on Saturday put the game away. It was 4-2 at the time, and I loved the reaction from him, because it's one of those home runs. And I'm sure that Tyler, you in the middle there, as a pitcher, probably didn't love the reaction. But I mean, when you hit it like that, you get to enjoy it. And I'm all for both sides should be enjoying their wins. If you get a big strikeout, really, Taj Bradley should have done a double flip, maybe a couple, after the strikeout today.
Just
cartwheel off. Yeah, exactly. Celebrate your moments. It's a hard sport. Yeah. And for Trevor Larnach, that was a cool moment. This is a guy that probably wondered himself, because I talked to him in September about it. Hey, look at the picture. Walker Jenkins is coming. Emmanuel Rodriguez is coming. Matt Wallner's here. James Outman's here. There's so many lefties. It really was kind of befuddling early on why they brought him back, especially $4.75 million is not a huge amount in the major leagues, but on a Twins team with a $105 million payroll, they could have reallocated those resources elsewhere. And it was why did they do this? Because there's other guys. Well, Trevor Larnach has shown again he's a professional at bat. He takes it serious. He even showed off some wheels this weekend, and that he's on board with it, the work he put in. So it's cool to see him have this start, because so many people doubted it for sure.
I think he's one. I wouldn't be shocked though. He hits the ball so hard. I think he's one of those guys, when he touches it, it goes, and that's hard to find. You can't teach that. He's a guy. He's got some tools. He's rangy. He's a big dude. You're around him. He's got some things you can't teach, and that sometimes you got to bet on those guys, man. He clipped me. I think the last time I faced him, he was on rehab, I think, and I tried to dump one, and he got me. So I'm yeah, he's still got that too. So. I love Trav. He's a good ball player.
In addition to facing Garrett Crochet and Sonny Gray, obviously Joe Ryan and Taj Bradley will miss this series for the Twins because they just pitched in Toronto. So interesting matchup situation there. We'll see how that goes. We will be back with you middle of this week, probably Wednesday, and we'll see you then. Until then, thank you for listening, as always. And if you like what you hear, please subscribe, follow us. And we would love to hear your feedback as well. Leave a comment. If you see Dan.
Ask some questions. If you guys have questions, especially for Tyler, We would love you to throw some questions in the
Well,
comments on the
we should
YouTube
probably
page.
formally do that at some point, Dan. That's actually a
Yeah,
good
we
idea.
should do a mailbag,
Ask
one
questions.
hundred
I've been
percent.
meaning to do that. That's right.
And I will have my dad use 4 or 5 fake accounts to ask questions, and they'll be awkward. They'll be
And
definitely
also,
awkward.
if you have tickets in one of those seats at Target Field that's right below the press box, please heckle Dan. He loves that because you literally
Video,
you're right
video
there.
it, please.
Yes. We might use it on the podcast. We'll see. But thanks again, everybody, for listening, and we will catch you next time on Twin Cities Territory. Bye bye.